The Blue Jays offense comes alive as Shane Bieber bounces back in a Game 3 win. Hey everyone, welcome into Long Ball. Rob Wong joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley and Toronto Sun sports columnist Steve Simmons. And guys, just when everyone wants to count out the 2025 Toronto Blue Jays, they show resilience again in a big way, winning 13-4 in game number 3, trimming the Mariners series lead to 2-1. We'll get to the offense in a moment, Rob, but Shane Bieber, after allowing that 2-run homer to Julio Rodriguez in the first, found his groove, gave the offense a chance to get back in this game. What did you make of his outing?
Yeah, so many cool things about that outing, Rob. Obviously got dinged a little bit in the first inning, but I like the stories that we're hearing out of Seattle that when he went back to the dugout after that first inning, he said to his teammates, "Go score some runs because I've got my good stuff today." Like, he knew that it was one pitch that got away. He felt that he could shut down the Mariners, and sure enough, he struck out the side in the next inning, and then all of a sudden the momentum swung. Now, in the bigger picture, I think most of us expect that he won't be back next year, so as a free agent. So, the trade deadline acquisition of him was for moments exactly like this: 1 or 2 or 3 big wins in the postseason. He didn't do so well against the Yankees in his start, but last night was, in a must-win situation. He dealt like he was a Cy Young Award winner of the past. He dealt like he was a guy that could be an ace of any staff, and he gave the Blue Jays a win that they absolutely needed on that night. Obviously, they needed the offense to pick it up, but as soon as everybody in that ballpark knew that Shane Bieber was dealing, I think the complexion of the game turned in an instant.
One of the things that we get so consumed by today, velocity, spin rate, all of these terms that have become so popular amongst, cognoscenti in baseball. Shane Bieber's a throwback. Shane Bieber's a pitcher. And what he showed last night is there's still a place for pitching in baseball. And it was like watching, I think I used the term that he had surgery he had the Tommy John surgery. Last night he performed his own surgery on the Mariners. And there's still a place for the Maddox types. There's still a place for the Jimmy Key types. And Shane Bieber's one of them. And when he has his good stuff like he did last night, boy, he's difficult to get a hold of. And that was impressive to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Steve. Like, there's so much talk these days about guys who can throw, right? And maybe not enough about guys who can pitch. And he really showed last night that he was a pitcher. And that was a big effort, and maybe we're going to talk about it in a minute, but maybe they get a little bit more like that from Max Scherzer tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big bounce back for Shane Bieber, and if it does go 7, he would be in line for that do-or-die game at Rogers Center. So you wouldn't think T-Mobile Park, one of the pitcher-friendliest stadiums, would be where the Blue Jays offense would wake up, Steve, but here they did. Look very much like the offense we saw against the Yankees in the ALDS. When everyone in the lineup is contributing, it really can be this sort of avalanche that the Blue Jays can put forth against opposing pitchers.
Well, I'm going to quote myself now for a second from a line I used in my column this morning. They painted a mural of their season last night. It was, this is what we do. This is how we do it. Everybody contributes. Everybody makes a difference. And you start from the beginning. Andres Jimenez hitting a home run after Ernie Clement knocks a double down the line. Up to that point, Kirby looked unstoppable. And then suddenly, Clement first pitch, double down the line. Jimenez, bang out. It's 2-0, and in a few, it's 2-all, and a few seconds later it's 5-2, and just they get those kind of hits from people. I mean, yes, Guerrero had an incredible game, and we'll give him all of the virtue he deserves from that. He almost hit for the cycle. He's on base 5 times. This was the same Vladdy of round 1 against the Yankees, if not a better version. Just an amazing guy to watch. But we go through the lineup, and how many guys had 2? I think it was like 6 guys had 2 hits. 6. Yeah. I think 5 had 2 runs. It's an incredible up and down. When they're on and they're putting it all together, it's not always something you can explain, but boy, does it work.
To me, though, it's much more about the why and the how than the what happened last night, because I think they went into that game. I know they went into that game with a mindset to attack. And to quote myself, that's what I said: attack, attack, attack. They were clearly ready to feast on the fastball. They figured that was going to be an opportunity. The Mariners were trying to beat them with the fastball and had success in it in games 1 and 2. And they came out swinging like a heavyweight champion. And, 5 home runs, all the hits, like Steve said, up and down the lineup. But there were the big bombs too, right? There was Vlad hitting one out. There was Springer hitting one out. There was Kirk hitting one out. And even a bonus one from Addison Barger in the 9th inning. And I think if they could keep that mindset, because that's what's worked for them all year. Attack opposing pitchers. Doesn't always have to be with the long ball like it was last night, but it can be often like what Steve said, contributions from up and down the lineup. But when they go into a game with the mindset that they're going to dictate things offensively, that's when they score a bunch of runs. And that's, to me, what was so impressive about last night. 18 hits, I think it was, 13 runs, much like the display that they had against the Yankees in the previous round.
I've covered a lot of boxing. And I love covering boxing. And what was John Schneider saying before the game last night? No jabs. Yeah. No jabs. We're throwing uppercuts.
And they did. And haymakers.
They didn't just throw, they threw haymakers, they threw hooks, they threw bombs, they threw all kinds of stuff. But they did not go at this, we're going to get base hits.
Yeah.
We're going to smack the thing around. And sometimes, you know what? If Kirby's throwing the way Kirby can throw, he can make you look silly. He can make you look bad. Well, last night they made him look bad. Yeah. And I think it's not only does the win give the Blue Jays what they needed, but I think the mindset gives them an attitude of sorts that should carry them into tonight. And as much as I have fear that Max Scherzer may not be up to the challenge of the start, I give up trying to figure this stuff out.
Well, that's a perfect segue into Max Scherzer, who will get the start tonight, Rob. The first time he's pitched in almost 3 weeks, and when we last saw him on a Major League mound, he was very ineffective, had a lot of trouble in the first inning. But, I think we talked prior to the season when the Blue Jays inked him to this contract. This is why they brought him in, for this veteran experience, a guy that has pitched in the postseason and pitched some big games. But what are your expectations for a guy, like I said, that hasn't pitched in almost 3 weeks?
No logic at all to this, Rob, but I have the funniest feeling that Max Scherzer is going to come up with a vintage Mad Max effort tonight. He's kind of the guy. He's been there and done everything, right? He's pitched in World Series. He's won Cy Youngs. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He pitched like crap, quite frankly, in September. Couldn't get anybody out, it felt like, in the early on. But he's a gamer. He's a pro, and he is as intense as anybody you ever see on a mound, and I think that there will be an intimidation factor when he gets out there tonight, especially if he has some success in the first inning, which has been a big problem for him in his last few starts. And here's another thought, right? What do they pay for him? $15.5 million for 1 year. If he somehow leads the Blue Jays to victory tonight, they get all that back and more because there's another home date. They guarantee another home date. One big Max Scherzer effort tonight pays for that contract. And I think it's going to be fascinating theater. Now, maybe he'll flame out like he has in the past. I suspect it'll be a relatively short leash on him, good or bad. It'll be a hybrid of a bullpen day, but they would hope to get 3 or 4 innings out of him. But whatever happens with Max Scherzer, future Hall of Famer on that mound in Seattle tonight, I think it's going to be great sporting theater.
Well, they can take that $15 million, by the way, if Bieber chooses to, and pay Bieber what's left on his contract.
His choice, though.
What?
His choice.
Yeah, it's his choice. But I'm saying if he doesn't think he can get more than that somewhere else and likes it here, he might sign that one and then sign another one after it, which is basically taking the money from here and just shoving it over there. For the same kind of guy, although Bieber may be is a touch younger and maybe with more possibilities. What I've been amazed by with Max Scherzer, and it's we've all been around the Blue Jays a lot, Rob, more than any of us, but a lot the last 2 months, and the way this guy is sort of loved on this team, he's kind of a curmudgeon-y, high-strung, sort of crazy competitor, loves baseball guy. And he's a character. You watch him, he's a character. The team's really taken to him.
Yeah. Now, whether he really is Mad Max. Like you say, Steve, you look around the clubhouse, the team really loves him. And as intimidating as he can be, he sort of seems a little bit crusty on the exterior, but whenever you go up to him and talk to him, providing he isn't in the middle of something, he's engaging. He's a little odd, like some of his answers are a little odd at times. A little eccentric is probably a better word. He is Mad Max after all, but he's a very interesting dude. And to your point, Steve, incredibly well respected in that clubhouse and dugout.
Well, him and Chris Bassett are very close. They're like best friends close. And Chris Bassett talked him into coming to Toronto. Mm-hmm. He wasn't necessarily sold on it. Bassett said, we've got something going on here. We've got a team in the clubhouse that you're going to like. There's something here, and you got a chance to win here. And Bassett talked him into that, even though they were coming off a 74-win season. And so he took the offer, thinking we got a shot to do something. Well, tonight's the shot. Are you down 3-1 or are you tied 2-2? It's a big difference between the two.
Sure is.
And let's see what Max Scherzer does. Just one thing though, the last good start he had, 57 days ago.
Yeah, August.
Whatever 57, I counted the days.
We've turned the page on the calendar twice since he's had a good start.
Okay, I'm just saying 50.
Very 2 months.
Not a lot of good pitchers are in 57-day rotations.
Yeah, it was August. We flipped the calendar page twice since he had a good start. So that's the obvious worry.
Well, if you're one of those people,
a good sim game in Toronto last week. That's what the Jays tell us.
Yeah, you got all those guys. He got every sim out.
Yeah,
got them all out.
Yeah, well, the Blue Jays are hoping this is a good simulation for Max Scherzer, and hopefully he can deliver on that contract he signed in the offseason. We'll see. Either we're talking tomorrow about a 2-2 series tie, or we're talking about the Mariners looking to close it out on Friday night. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Rob Longley and Steve Simmons, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.